That night, I did what I always did when I couldn't sleep. I worked. My apartment didn't have much: a bed, a kitchen, a bathroom that took 10 minutes to heat up, but it had a table by the window, and that's where I spread everything out. Laptop open, notepad ready, coffee that I kept reheating until it tasted like burnt regret. Victor Partaloo. I started with the public record. Born 1963 in Ravenshore, only child of Heinrich and Margaret Partaloo. Old money. The family had been on the island since the 1880s, back when they owned half the fishing fleet and most of the harbor. Over the generations, they'd transitioned from fishing to shipping to real estate to tech, always staying one step ahead of the economy. Victor had taken over Partaloo Industries in 1992 after his father's death. Since then, he'd expanded it into a sprawling network of subsidiaries and investments. AI surveillance systems, data analytics, security software, all the things that made the modern world run and no one really understood. The company's headquarters was on the mainland, but Victor still lived in Ravenshore, in the family mansion on the cliffs. He was on the boards of 3 charities. He'd funded the renovation of the library in 2015. He donated a new wing to the medical center in 2018. The local paper, what was left of it, treated him like royalty. I dug deeper. His wife had died in 2001, cancer, according to the obituary. No children, no remarriage. He lived alone in that massive house, surrounded by staff and gates, and the kind of silence that only money could buy. His companies employed, directly or indirectly, about 40% of Ravenshore's working population. The police chief's salary came from a budget that included Partaloo donations. The mayor had run on a platform of modernizing the island with technology, Partaloo's technology. The man had his fingers in everything, and everyone owed him something. I pulled up DataCore next, the company Emma had worked for. It had been absorbed into Partaloo Industries in 2010, 4 years after Emma died. Before that, it had operated as a semi-independent subsidiary focused on data collection and processing. I couldn't find employee records from 20 years ago, but I made a note to dig deeper. Then Algo Tech, Megan's employer, a smaller company focused on algorithm development and machine learning. They did contract work for Partaloo's main surveillance division, building the software that made the cameras smart, the systems adaptive, the data useful. 2 women, 2 subsidiaries, 1 man. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. What was the connection? Why these women? Why 20 years apart? Emma had been young, just starting out. A data entry job, probably, something basic, a foot in the door. She'd been saving money to leave the island. Instead, she'd ended up dead in an alley. Megan had been experienced mid-career, a tech worker who could have gone anywhere but stayed. Stayed in a house by the harbor, stayed on an island at the edge of nowhere, stayed working for a company owned by the richest man in town. Why? I wrote the question on my notepad and circled it 3 times. The fog had crept up to my window while I worked, pressing against the glass like it wanted to come in. I checked the time, 2:47 a.m. I should sleep. I wouldn't. I pulled up a satellite image of the island instead. Ravenshore from above, a rough oval of green and gray surrounded by water. The harbor at the bottom, Main Street cutting through the middle, the cliffs rising on the north side. I could see the mansions up there, spread out like chess pieces on a board. The Partaloo estate was the largest. It sat at the highest point of the cliff, overlooking everything. From up there, Victor could watch the whole island, could see who came and went on the ferry, could see the lights in the harbor at night, the fishing boats leaving at dawn, all-seeing, all-knowing. I thought about the surveillance systems his company built. Cameras that tracked faces, software that predicted behavior, AI that learned from watching. The future of security, the brochures probably said. A safer world, or a world where someone was always watching. Where privacy was a relic and secrets were impossible. What if Megan had found something in that world? Something she wasn't supposed to see? What if Emma had found the same thing, 20 years ago? I didn't have evidence. I had speculation, pattern recognition, the desperate hope that maybe this time I could find an answer. But I'd been a detective long enough to know that coincidences were usually just connections waiting to be proven. My phone buzzed. Burke. Asterisk got the Algo Tech interview set up. Tomorrow at 10. Office near the bridge. You in? Asterisk I typed back. Asterisk I'm in. Asterisk then I closed my laptop, turned off the lamp, and lay down on my bed without undressing. The fog pressed against the window. The ceiling stared back at me. Victor Pardalu. The name sat in my head like a stone. Rich, powerful, connected, the kind of man who could make problems disappear. The kind of man who could silence anyone who got too close to his secrets. Had Emma gotten too close? Had Megan? I didn't know. But I was going to find out, even if I had to tear this island apart to do it.